Hi, it's me, Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. Guys, today we're going over my August TBR. It is already August, so I don't know how the freak that happened, but it is August, like I said, and we are going to be going over all the books I'm going to read in August. I am I'm participating in the Magical Readathon started by Book Roast. Her video will be down below. This is my third time doing it. The first two times I did it, I was a, what was I? I was a Moon Warden, and this time I want to try out Necromancer. I think next year, in April, I'm going to do a different task and keep that task the whole year. But I wanted to try to mix things up, and Necromancy just sang to my soul. So let's get to it. So we do have books that are part of the book clubs and stuff and that. So we do have a lot of books this month to read. But we're going to actually go over my Magical Readathon books first. So the first class, so if you don't know how the Magical Readathon works, you have classes you have to pass. And for each prompt has a class. And certain prompts you have to, or certain winning, like, categories have you have to get like certain things in certain classes, and to get each class you have to read the level. So for the first is O in Magical Studies, so I have to have a pet pick. Now I don't have the clip anymore. I was mass deleting shit on my phone and I accidentally deleted the clip of Cisco picking this. But the Cisco, my brother's dog, picked for me to read The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. This is the sequel to Her Majesty's Royal Coven. It follows a group of witches as they are in the UK, and there is shit that happened after the first book, and they are trying to regroup in the second one. And I'm very excited to read this. This will probably be the first book I read of August. But look at that, it's so pretty. It's got pink spray. It just got the UK cover. So I wanted the hardback. Okay, next is O in Spells and it's Spells and Incantations, and the O I have to do is I have to read a manga or comic, and for that I am going to be reading Wonder Woman Historia, The Amazons by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Phil Jimenez, Gina Hahn, and Nicole Scott. Kelly Sue DeConnick's the one that wrote it, everybody else like worked on the art and stuff. But this is a origin story for the Amazons of the Mascara. The art style is fucking phenomenal for this book. This book has won awards. I'm very excited to read this. This is like one of my most anticipated reads of this month, and I'm very excited to get into this. But it just discovers the origins of the Amazons. It says, millennia ago, Queen Hera and the goddesses of Olympus, of the Olympian pantheon, grew greatly dissatisfied with the male counterparts, and from their sight, the goddesses created the Amazons. With them, a new society was born, one never before seen on Earth, capable of wielding a wondrous and terrible thing, but their existence could not stay secret for long. With a desperate woman named Hippolyta crosses the Amazons' path, a series of events was set into motion that would lead to an outright war across heaven and earth. I'm really excited to get into this. This might be my first read of the month. We will see. Okay, next is for Spells and Incantations Part 2, which I need to get a Q in, so it goes O, Q, D. So if you have a D, you have to get a Q and an O. If you have a Q, you just have to do an O, and you just get an O, you just gotta read the O. If I'm making any sense. But that book is, so the prompt is to read a book with black flame on it, or so fire on the cover, and I will be reading Bindo Prank Bruja by Desiree Missa. So this book is about Luna, who she is it's in the 1920s, I think. But basically it says she is what is the word for it? She owns a speakeasy. She owns a bar during the Prohibition. And she is also a bruja, so she wants to keep that secret. She wants to keep the fact that she owns a bar. She also wants to keep the fact that she's Mexican secret, because it would just not work out for her because, racism in the 1920s. And so she is just trying to keep her shit abroad. I know there's gangsters that are involved. I think Al Capone himself is involved in this, but I'm very excited to read this. This is also part of my 23 for 23 video. 23 for 23 books to read. So next is Conduration is, I know this word. Conduration. I spelled conduration. It's something else, but I spelled that wrong, and I'm not looking it up right now. But basically, the prompt is to read a book for the O, is to read a book with the court involved. So court or royalty, and for that, I will be reading Defend the Dawn by Bridget Kemmerer. So I was supposed to read this actually, I think, in April, but I never got to it. So it is fitting that I am reading this month. But this is the sequel to Defy the Night. And Defy the Night is about a kingdom that is disease going about. And the kingdom is not handling it well. Like, they're trying to keep the, like, antidote spread out, but it is just not working. Because the only antidote is this flower. And our main female character has been, like, doing a Robin Hood kind of shit, like where she steals from the like rich and makes sure the poor can get it. And then also the king's brother, his like the king's right hand man, is our other lead, and they get entwined. And this is the second book. I'm very excited to get into this when I eventually do. And then so next is Conjuration Q, so the Q in that, and I need to read a book steeped in a different culture or set in a different country than mine. And for that, I will be doing my book club for Enchanted Forest Book Club, and that is Damned If You Do. The book's not out yet. It comes out the 1st, I believe, or the 2nd. But all I know about this book, it is basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but with Filipino culture mixed in. So I'm very excited to get into this book for my book club. And for, of course, this choice. So next is D in Conjuration or Configuration. I don't know what it is. I'm terrible at spelling. But the D is to read a indie or self-published, and I will be reading Betrayal of Storms. I've read other books by Ben Alderson, I believe is the author of this. I've read his Darkmount series, and I enjoyed it, especially the last book was my favorite. This one is about the Fae, and I believe that the Winter Fae have been wiped out, or the court has been gone, and the heir is the only survivor, and there's just like some shenanigans ensue from this. Very excited to read it. So O for Restoration. I have to read a book before bed, and I'm counting this as a prompt. I just got to start it before I go to bed, and there's actually going to be a buddy read as well. I have 2 buddy reads, so this is the first buddy read, and that is Avenco by Sherry Delamain. I'm buddy reading this with Helen, Anime 1000. She goes by Woman in a Chair, MVP of the chat. She goes by many different names, but she's a big supporter of the channel. If you are in my Discord, you know Helen. If you're in Princess's Discord, you know Helen. If you're in the lives, you know Helen. But I'll be buddy reading this with her. This is, I think, our second like duo buddy read without with just us two. But from what I know about this book, it is by an Indigenous author from Canada, which I could have also done this book for the different culture book. But this book is about a group of witches. They are descendants from the Salem witch trial witches, and they have to find these spoons. And then one day, our main character is actually a witch, but she is from the Indigenous tribe in Canada, and that's the only magic she knows, and she finds a spoon. And I know that they're trying to stop the patriarchy. So, I'm very excited to read this. This cover is gorgeous. I love the little birdies. Next, I have to do an O in Demonology. This is my last task. And that is the first book I see when I open Instagram or Goodreads or anything like Book Talk probably would have also worked. And, I mean, if you're on the internet at this time and day of 2023 in the, like, summer of 2023, you know what the biggest book is. And I'm not surprised, but the biggest book was Fourth Wing. No, this is not a special edition. Or the first edition. But Fourth Wing was the book I picked up. Love it, you hate it. This is the one of the most popular books right now by Mr. Becariaros. All I really know about this is that it is about a girl who I believe has a disease. She has a chronic pain, and she has to be a dragon rider. I don't know why. I just know she has to go to school to be a dragon rider, and maybe she wasn't expecting it. I know there's dragons. I know there's romance. I've heard a lot of different opinions on this. Excited to get to actually get mine opinion on this. And I'm excited to watch Nell's video. Nell, I'll link her channel below too, because I know that she has a vlog for this, and I'm excited to watch that. But I need to read this first. Now, last book there is for a actual second challenge, so it's not technically part of my classes. These are all the books I need to read to pass the magical readathon. But I want to have an impling, and so to do that, I need to read a book that fits all these challenges. So I think it had to be between 104 and 400 and 450 pages. It had to have somewhat blue on the cover. It had to be a book that was released either this year or last year. It had to have blue on the cover, 400, 450, released this year. Author I've read before, and I think I got to start it before in bed. So I chose all of these. It took a minute. Like, I think it legit took me probably an hour to pick this out. I was like looking through my TBR shelf, like, what am I going to possibly fucking read? For me, it was the page count. The page count was the biggest motherfucker out there. I'm sorry, I'm cussing. This is my channel, so what you gonna do? But the book I picked is a book I don't even own, but it is Blood Gift, the sequel to The Blood Trials by Annie Davenport, I believe is the author's name. I might be wrong. We'll see. But here's the book. I don't have it yet, but I will be getting it soon. And this is the Blood Trials is about our girl Inca, who she is training to be a elite academy member, or like elite soldier, but her grandpa dies, and that kind of derails her plans. She's like, fuck it, I don't care anymore, until she finds out that her grandpa's death was not an accident. And she goes to do these trainings, these trials, and she also has the secret gift that, if found out, could be like her downfall. So I'm very excited to read the sequel. I love the first book. It was I read it in February, so I'll be reading the sequel this month. But that is not all. We do have more books to talk about, because I love to put more and more books on myself. So now we got the handy dandy book reading journal. So since we're talking about books I don't have, the next book I have to read that I don't have is the book for my book club that I go to in person, and that is Legacies. I don't really know much about it. I think there's rich people problems, murder, it looks like. I think it's Dark Academia, but I could be wrong. But that's here. Next book, I think that's all the book club books I will be reading this month. But not all the books I will be reading. So I am going to be buddy reading with Princess from the Castle Library, my bookish best friend. You know her, you love her. If you don't, fight me. But we will be buddy reading Nevernight. She has been meaning to read the series. I've read the first book, but I have not continued on with the series, and I already have the series. And even though I don't like Jay Kristoff, I do like some of his books, and I don't know. But I already have the series. She already has the series. We've both been meaning to read it, so we're like, hey, we'll just buddy read the series together. So we're starting with, of course, Nevernight, because you got to start with book one. But this is book one. If you don't know what Nevernight's about, it is about our girl named Mia who wants to get revenge because her parents were killed. Mia also has powers to control the shadows. But in this book, she goes to this church of assassins. And I read this and I enjoyed it when I read it, so I'm excited to get into it again to see if I still like it when I first read it. But yeah, I love the covers. I do love the covers of these books. Like, I know everybody loves the UK covers, but I really do like the US covers. So I'm excited to read Nevernight. And the last book was supposed to be The Iron Raven for my not the last book. I still have two other books, actually. Okay. The next book is the last two books are a part of my 23 for 23 challenge. I tried to read 3 books a month for that challenge because I don't know why I made it such. So I started my 23 for 23 in like February, and it's just been fun. But Benno Pumkrua is one of the books I'm reading this month. But the second one I need to read, Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. This is the sequel to An Ember in the Ashes. If you don't know what The Ember in the Ashes is about, The Ember in the Ashes is about 2 characters, Lila and Elias. They are both involved in this empire. Lila is from a people that's been conquered by the empire, and Silas is in training to be like the elite guard of the empire, even though he doesn't want to, because he doesn't want to be a terrible fucking person. But this is the sequel. Things happened in the first book, and I'm very excited to finally finish this series. I will be reading like the rest of the series this year because I finished the Jade Boat saga, which I'll talk about in my next video. Now, the last book was supposed to be the Iron Raven, but June or July, I don't know what was happening to me audibly. I was having a very slow month, so I never got to the Iron Trader. So I got to push it down to this month. I got to push this back to read the Iron Trader this month. So the Iron Trader, I talked about it in the last TBR video, but this is the final part of the second trilogy of Julia Kawa's The Iron Fae series. The first trilogy follows Megan. This book follows her brother Ethan, and this is the last book. And after something happened in the second book, The Iron Trader, this is very like final book. I'm very excited to get into this. It's a very short book too. I do like the Julia Kawa's books. I already have the audiobook on my phone, so I will be reading this soon. Probably after. I think my priority is going to be the Aurelian books, and then after that I will get to it. And also, I am going to either count Nevernight or Venko. I'll flip and flop between those two, so that whichever one I read first will count towards my book I started at night challenge. Now, the last book that I need to read before the month is over is another book I was supposed to read this month, but like I said, very slow reading month for me this month. You guys will see that in the next video. But that is Under the Whispering Door, and I need to have this book done by the 6th of this month. So I am currently listening to a Queen of Shadows audiobook, but once I'm done with that, I will be definitely knocking out Under the Whispering Door. So that will be also read this month. And this book is, if you don't know, our main character dies, and before he does, he realizes like, hey, I haven't really done shit with my life. And so he gets to stay with somebody. That's all I really know. I've read The House on the Carillion Sea by G.J. Clune, but I am doing a buddy read with Nell, and we're doing a live, so I will link Nell's channel down below. I already said I would, but this is also why I'm linking the channel down below. But yeah, that is all the books I plan to read for August. Are you competing in Aurelium? Why can't I speak today? We know why, because you're tired. But are you competing? What is your class? What are you? I'm a necromancer this time. I don't know what I will be next time. Maybe I'll be an archmage and just live my full sorcery witch fantasy. But are you doing the impling test? If you do not do a TBR video, which why aren't you? It's fun. If you are in my Discord and you are competing in Aurelium, I do have a channel open for the Magical Readathon, so we can see what your TBR, how it's going. I really enjoyed, this is my 3rd time competing. My first time was last year, and I love this readathon. The best part of it to me is chatting with my friends as we plan our TBRs, and filling the prompts. I think is one of my favorite parts of this readathon, and I'm very excited to knock these out. But I will see you guys next time. I post new videos every Friday. I try to do sprints once a week, but life happens, and I also try to do vlogs Wednesdays. If I do have a vlog, it'll be on a Wednesday. But I will see y'all later. Bye!